Matt, I'm going to need your historical expertise because Donald Trump's, for some reason, obsessed with William McKinley. He's been mentioning William McKinley quite a bit for some reason, including in this clip. This is an interview he did with Dave Ramsey. This is how he's been trying to sell his idea for tariffs to the public, which include things like when he said he wanted to impose a 200% tariff on John Deere products that were manufactured in Mexico.
I just want to jump in and say one thing about William McKinley. He was assassinated.
So that's maybe Trump's feelings. Trump's feeling spiritual connection.
That's actually not a bad point to bring up, though, because, like, is this recently he just started bringing up McKinley for the first time? Because then you know what happened.
Frantically Googling.
He was Googling other
Republicans?
presidents that got assassinated when he almost got assassinated. And he landed on McKinley, and he read about him for the first time in his life.
Yeah.
And now he's using him because he has this new knowledge to show off, and he wants everyone to know that he knows who McKinley is.
Or it's just the ghost of McKinley came to Trump and spoke to him. I mean, there could have been another assassinated president that came to him, like Lincoln or JFK, but they're like, we don't want any of that smoke. So
yeah, William McKinley may have visited Trump like Jacob Marley and Scrooge in the Christmas Carol, just being like, you need to mount tariffs across the board, Mr. Trump.
I also wouldn't be surprised if like William McKinley was like really big in conspiracy circles. Like I'm haven't been keeping up with QAnon and whatever they're up to, but he was a big gold standard guy. He was like a big,
Cole from Michigan says it's because an anarchist killed McKinley. So that's why. So
Antifa killed McKinley.
Not some weird, like vaguely political, but like clearly antisocial person that just like check the schedule to see which politician is in town that week.
Right, like
not exactly anarchist.
Not exactly. But here he is expressing his kinship with the late great William McKinley.
The word tariff to me is a very beautiful word because it can save our country, truly. And yet, I think because of graft, because of a lot of consulting payments and other things that given by other countries, we have so much fighting with politicians on using it. I saved our steel industries by putting tariffs on steel that China came in and dumped. And you know what they do? They dump and dump and dump. Everybody goes out of business. Then they buy those businesses very cheap, and then they raise the prices to higher than they ever were. That's one of the many benefits that they have if they want to do it. But by putting tariffs on, as an example, in the furniture business in North Carolina, it was so vibrant, and they stole our business. And they charge us, if you wanted to build a furniture place, if you want to sell your furniture in China, they won't take it. But if you want to build a plant in China to make furniture in China using their labor, they open it. We're doing the same thing. But a lot of people like, we don't want to have tariffs. The country was at the richest point in its history in the 1890s. It was all tariffs. If you looked at William McKinley as an example, he was a big tariff president. They had committees that were put in charge of what to do with the money. We were taking in so much money. And McKinley would say, why should we let other people come in and steal our factories and steal our workers and steal our jobs? And why shouldn't we benefit? And he tariffed the other countries. And we made so much, and then they went to the income tax system later on. But they would actually have a blue ribbon committee. Our country was so rich, they didn't know what to do with the money.
All right. So this is rambling. All right, bro. So that's what it ends up being, right? He wants to do away with the income tax in favor of tariffs, but he still fundamentally misunderstands the purpose of tariffs. Tariffs are there to raise the prices on imported goods so that domestically manufacturing gets an advantage, and the products that are made here in the United States are able to be cheaper, so it gives them an advantage in the American economy. It's not a very it will raise prices, one, which he says he's all against, and two, it is not an efficient mechanism for raising revenue. That's what taxes are for. But at the end of the day, he gives away the game there when he mentions the income tax. He wants us to go to a pre-Gilded Age where everything is like where personal income tax is slashed or whatever, and that there's this wealth accumulation, and that everything is just based on like these broad tariffs against other countries. It's absurd.
It's stupid.
Yeah, no, and it's anti-consumer, which you would expect at least the Republican candidate to try to be better about, mindless consumption. I expect in a few weeks he'll be on to like talking about flat tax rates.
Right. But I mean, this is the kind of thing that northern businessmen would appreciate. So in terms of like his connection to New York and Wall Street and the scammers there, the ghost of William McKinley has spoken to him.
Well, and let's just try to like look back maybe 120 years ago. These things weren't taken because the workers were going to benefit from this sort of thing.
There was child labor at the time, by the way.
People know there was a Red Scare in the 50s. People may even know there's a Red Scare in the 20s. People may not know there's a Red Scare in the 1870s when like rail strikes and that stuff were going on and literally be put down by the forces that should have been suppressing the Confederate Jim Crow South.
Yes.
So that was massively suppressed, all those workers, and extremely violent though, like as McKinley found out. There's nothing in there for normal people, and it's just like I am frankly skeptical of the tariffs we're doing on. Well, actually, we're just doing bans on like you can't send certain things that are made in Taiwan to China, which seems to particularly computer chips, which seems a bit that's a pretty potentially catastrophic protectionism. But if you want to, like, there does need to be state investment in certain key areas, I think. But tariffs, I don't think that's the way to do it. And Marx was actually pro free markets too. This is protectionism is not. It's protectionism for the people making the laws.
And it could be done in a targeted way. If, say, you want to bolster like certain companies that may be having difficulty, that
like baby formula, we should have like state subsidies for baby formula companies.
That kind of thing, right? But this broad, I mean, every economic analyst has decried whatever Donald Trump is talking about here. But if he wants to go back to the era where white men held all the wealth, and before a few decades later, we would have a massive economic crash, and there was child labor and all that kind of stuff, that does track.
We also just don't make anything here anymore.
Yeah.
The number of things that we make here, as we saw under COVID. Well,
to be honest, I mean, the Biden campaign's domestic manufacturing, or the Biden administration's domestic manufacturing bill has brought back manufacturing jobs. There was a net loss of manufacturing jobs under Trump, and then the net gain under Biden. So to give him credit for that, I wish all of those jobs were required to be union jobs, but that's not fully the direction that he went. Still, it's indisputable which administration across their 4 years was better for domestic manufacturing.
Well, what he would say, and I agree that one of the good things Biden has been was good on before he disappeared into the ether, was manufacturing and labor and things like that. But Republicans would probably counter that with saying, well, they're going to accomplish the same thing by slashing regulations in America. They're going to accomplish the same thing by funneling money towards billionaires and then slashing regulations so that we can keep up with other countries, a la Matty Iglesias, like safety regulations don't need to be the same all over, right? So that would be their plan for how they bring manufacturing jobs back to America.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.